wondering, yesterday, I was also doing an Instagram series of pulling everybody into what doesn't make sense about the changing of the clothes that Tyler Robinson allegedly did. And we've been wondering why it seems that the feds were only willing to release a grainy image of Tyler Robinson from the day of the shooting, despite the tech stack that UVU campus has, right? There's no images that we can see that have been released of his Dodge Challenger that's supposed to be idling nearby the campus for a very long time, right? If he's, as he texted these Fed messages, him and Lance are texting, and he's telling him every second, minute by minute, what he's done. And he mentioned that the cops have done a sweep. Remember, Tyler is supposed to be babysitting the gun in that moment, waiting for the right moment to go back and, quote unquote, retrieve his weapon. But he sees and I'm not kidding, quote unquote, squad car. That's what he writes, right? He writes, I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. Squad car. Okay, yeah, no. How many times do you call a police car a squad car? Do you want to know who calls it a squad car? Someone on the squad. Well, that's how that works. Yeah, but that's what Tyler writes, squad car. Elsewhere in this correspondence, and by the way, thanks to one of you people who commented on yesterday's episode and pointed this out to me. But elsewhere, Tyler says something that only a woman would say. That's why it didn't flag me as weird when I was reading this. It didn't flag me as odd. He says to Lance, allegedly, quote, I worry about Prince. I had to leave it, referring to the rifle, in a bush where I changed outfits. Wait, changed outfits? Somebody commented, men don't say outfits. That's a woman thing. Okay, yeah, that's true. I would say I changed my outfit. A man does not say, you just say you changed clothes. You would not say an outfit. Outfit is very girly. Okay, so is this AI or is this a female Fed that put these messages together? We're not feeling like it's Tyler Robinson, that's for sure. Now, another question we ask is if there is this much available footage, why not to relieve everybody, to make us feel like this is not a federal operation? Why not just release anything to the public? Well, the reason is because according to locals, many of which have emailed me, any of the footage that they had, any footage that they found, they immediately sent over to the feds, and the feds told them that they were not allowed to share it at all. Like there was some risk. If you shared this at all, it's not going to be good for you. Like they are kind of being pressured by the feds not to share things publicly. And that's why I would say 9/10 is beginning to remind me of 9/11, right? The feds sweep through everything to make sure that they have all of the footage so that no one can question the narrative that they put out. It makes me think, how long did it take before they were willing to show us any footage of the alleged giant Boeing plane that hit the Pentagon building? We weren't allowed to see that for a very long time. I think someone actually in Congress had to fight to get any footage released, and you had people that were saying, no, it was a missile. Well, they swept everything nearby, so that's what this is kind of reminding me of, a Fed sweep. They pretend that they want more information, but in reality, they want to make sure that they have all of the information, all of the footage, so that they can control the narrative. Except sometimes things don't go as planned. Because before people realize they have anything, or maybe when they're trying to reach out to the feds, they're texting a friend who texts a friend. And the next thing you know, the whole neighborhood in all of Orem has something. And this is what happened. Something made its way around the entire town and into my tips line repeatedly. It is a very clear image of Tyler Robinson, allegedly taken, I'll say allegedly for safety here, but it's looking right according to my timeline, allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. at a nearby Dairy Queen. Here is that photo that we can show you. Just take a look at this photo. What is wrong with this picture? A lot is wrong with this picture. First and foremost, 6:38 p.m., you just shot someone. You have gone through great pains to hide your face, to change your outfit. But wait, you didn't fully change your outfit, did you? I'm looking at this photo, and you're wearing jeans and you're wearing the maroon shirt. Now we have a 50-50 combo of the outfits. And now you're showing your eyes and you're not fearful at all that you might be recognized. Also, wow, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record. Next thing you know, you shoot someone and you're like, I'm just going to go have a meal. You don't seem to be too shaken or too upset. Something problematic is the location, by the way. We mapped this out. It's about 15 minutes away from the campus at a time when we're told that he's idling by, babysitting the rifle. So you can see, we're showing you, it's about a 17-minute drive away from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge Challenger driving back and forth. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing that jumps at me is he looks kind of content there. So he's got to be a full-blown psychopath wearing half of what the feds told us he was wearing in the morning and half of what the feds told us that he was wearing during the shooting. Okay, so why did he text in this exchange at all and say that he changed outfits? When you've just said, I changed my t-shirt, if that's the reality, you just changed your t-shirt and that was enough? Was it just a t-shirt that he changed? The outfit, again, as I sensed yesterday, has always been problematic. I feel the outfit was the Fed mistake. It never made any sense to say that he wore an outfit onto campus, light khaki shorts and a maroon shirt, and then decided to completely change hours later. Because why wouldn't you just change the t-shirt? That actually makes more sense. Every kid wears blue jeans. You don't have to change blue jeans or change out of khaki shorts to avoid detection. That's not going to go, hey, we're stopping you because you're wearing blue jeans. That's not a thing. It would make much more sense if he had just changed his t-shirts. And like I said yesterday, if you were going to change it all, why did you have to leave campus to do that? And shouldn't the cameras have caught you either way? You take a totally different route. Again, there's cameras everywhere. So we can now plot this change, this alleged Dairy Queen stop onto our timeline, right? We can see that right there. We were very accurate when we started getting really serious about looking at a timeline. I like a clean timeline. We said the first correspondence that allegedly took place between these two had to have taken place between Tyler and Lance after 6 o'clock p.m. Well, there we go. 6:38 p.m. We get this confirmed photo, or I shouldn't say a confirmed photo, an alleged photo of Tyler Robinson buying food at Dairy Queen off campus on the other side of town. And that's where we can assume, I mean, campus is supposed to be on lockdown. Is this supposed to be a manhunt? That's where we can assume these text messages or around this time where Tyler Robinson is signifying that he's close to the scene of the crime. That's where we should be able to find more footage of his vehicle. Maybe you are a shop along this way near that Dairy Queen, and you should check your footage to see if around this time, 6:38 or else, that you saw a Dodge Challenger go by. Source tells me that they saw him dropping, near this Dairy Queen, that there's a cemetery, and he was dropping clothes into that cemetery. Now, we have not gotten anything from the feds about where the clothing was dropped off, where he changed, nothing. My question then is, what is going on? My suspicion, I maintain, is that there are multiple people that are involved. And after receiving this, that suspicion is growing, okay? Like I said, unless that man is a cold-blooded killer, he just seems to be la-di-da, eating some Dairy Queen, and it's not making sense. Now, there is something that another local told me that the locals are discussing that they believe actually took place, and it rings a lot truer to me, a lot truer than anything that I've heard thus far from the feds. I'm going to tell you that in a moment, but first, I decided to sort of hyper-focus on the doorbell cam footage, right? Because that mysteriously made its way to TMZ the morning after Charlie's assassination. What time did that footage make its way? Just so I can take a look. I'm going to go on to day 2 here. When did TMZ release the footage? Well, I don't know exactly the exact day they released the footage. I think it was, their footage said that at 8:07 a.m. TMZ is the first on September 10th that tells us that there is doorbell cam footage. But I actually want to see when TMZ released it. So can you just put a note for me, Skylar, that I want to look up when TMZ announced it? I feel like it was in the morning, okay? And so I started asking myself, where did that footage come from, right? We should look into that. Let me just say this right away. As a rule, when a tragedy happens, I don't love the people who have the instinct to immediately speak to the press after a tragedy. What I mean to say is that imagine you you're on campus somewhere, a shooting happens, students are screaming, they're running, somebody is dead. I feel that a normal person's instinct is to make sure their loved ones are okay in their immediate vicinity, make sure they are okay, obviously, and then to call and alert everyone who would be concerned that you're okay, right? Maybe your mom's texting you, but like you're going to get on the phone first with like your mom and dad. You're not going to get on the phone with TMZ. You're not going to you're going to speak to the press first. I don't think so. So it's always a good question when you sense that something is wrong, as I very much sense right now with the Charlie Kirk assassination, to go back and reflect on who opened up to the press with information. Look, if you've been a longtime listener of the show, the mainstream media has been controlled by the CIA since Operation Mockingbird. And so I addressed that question. Who is it that gave the footage to TMZ? Why TMZ? Whose instincts would it be to give the footage to TMZ? If you're really just a person living out in Utah, surprised by everything, why are you giving it to like TMZ, which covers celebrity gossip out of Hollywood, right? The New York Post, that's not supposed to be a local paper, a local news source. Why would you hit up the New York Post? Which Utah citizen thought of TMZ first? Was it them or was it the feds? Well, we were able to stalk that, okay? We were able, because gratefully, one of the individuals who owned the house spoke to a local news station the morning after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. His name, you're going to see, is Irwin Steele. Let's watch that footage of Irwin Steele the next morning.
Kathy Beckel led us to her backyard. She says police searched this area for the suspected gunman and his weapon. Just a few streets over, Irwin Steele was another neighbor who was met with officers in his front yard.
It was scary. It's. I know it's been said many times, but this is a safe place. This is a calm place. We're right next to, the largest university in the state. But at the same time, they're generally good people.
Steele says they're helping authorities by giving them any footage they have on their outdoor cameras. But he says it's still startling to know the gunman could have been so close to their homes.
We have students going up and down the street all day long, and it's never been a threat to our safety. And so for something like this to happen it's shocking. It's really shocking.
Seems like a good guy. I have no beef with him. Immediately, actually, I was wondering, why were we ever told that it was doorbell cam footage? It obviously was not doorbell cam footage. It's too high, hence, the height of the footage in general. Secondly, like I said, this clip is from the morning after Charlie Kirk's assassination. So TMZ had already publicized that footage. And so that strikes me as a little odd. That would stipulate that either the feds, like I said, collected that footage the night before and then immediately gave to TMZ, or this guy himself gave it to TMZ before he gave it to the feds. So we're looking into Irwin, and we find that he doesn't just co-own just that one house on the street with somebody else named Samuel Steele, but Samuel and his wife Carrie are the ones that own the house that gave the footage, not Irwin. But Irwin is saying that he lives in that house, but actually we found some other Steeles that live in that house. And I'm wondering, okay, that seems a little bit confusing. Maybe you're all family. You just go, oh, okay, well, we kind of own all of these houses, whatever. But that strikes me as a little bit odd. I decided to look a little bit further to see like what it was that he was in, like, what business is your family in? And it turns out that they work for an engineering place, a place that makes called Caldera Engineering. It's a company called Caldera Engineering, and ostensibly they manufacture valves. Okay. Now that stood out to me because I just find that the manufacturing of valves keeps coming up when I look into certain people, because I'm all about the genealogy, and I could name 3 people that I got curious about whose family manufactures valves. I don't know if that's a big business out in Utah. Also in Canada, when I was looking into Harley Pasternak, that's exactly what his family did. They were in piping and valves. And I'm going, okay, whatever. A local source told me that virtually everyone on that block works for that company. The Steeles are a big family in Orem. Okay, fine. And it's like, yeah, that's something that our source, we have a very good source, said that whole block is pretty much employees of that engineering company, Caldera. Okay, just put that in the back of my mind. looking for some other witnesses. I decided witnesses pertaining to Tyler Robinson. We have a second witness, and her account is kind of confusing to me, and I'm going to tell you why. First and foremost, her last name also happens to be Steele, but this one witnessed something 4 hours away. Her name is Sherry Steele, and she spoke to the BBC about how she had witnessed the police swarm the townhouse of Tyler Robinson and Lance while she was walking her dog in the evening. Here is what she says. I'm going to read it directly here from the article. This is from the article. It reads, Sherry Steele, who lives across the street from the residence, came back from an evening walk to see a large police presence. In a video that she showed the BBC, for some reason the BBC is not publishing this video, a loud voice, which she said belonged to the authorities, can be heard shouting, "Freeze!" and "Come out now." It just kind of blows your mind coming up the street and all of a sudden there are helicopters above your house, Ms. Steele said, adding that she had never spoken to Mr. Robinson. Okay. Couple of things that don't work about that testimony to me. First and foremost, doesn't work with my timeline. I really care about my timeline here, okay? She says she's walking her dog in the evening. We are told by the feds, 33 hours should have been nighttime, right? Their 33 hours should have been 9 p.m. Is when Tyler Robinson, that turned himself in. But then we found out from other sources that actually it was more like 7 o'clock p.m., feds are saying 33 hours. That's 9 o'clock p.m. Certainly wouldn't describe it as an evening walk with your dog at that time. And by the way, at that time, according to our source, they didn't move at all. Okay. We're supposed to believe that it was overnight that they brought in Lance. And then, according to Lance's own family, it was overnight that they, after bringing Lance in around 11 o'clock p.m.-ish, right? And then overnight is when they then swarm the household and then go through everything. So what's going on here? Second thing about Sherry Steele is I can't find her. We stalked. We looked through databases. We contacted Lance's family to see if they were familiar with that name. I cannot find a woman named Sherry Steele that lives in that building complex, nor can I find her alleged footage that the BBC mentions the following morning. Just putting that out there. But let's move on, because there are going to be two more Steeles, this time minor children. We do know, according to the indictment, that there were children that were there for the shooting. And these children, like I said, are going to provide an eyewitness testimony to Charlie Kirk's shooting. And they are with their aunt, Tiffany. And they say that they saw what happened up close. And I believe you're going to hear them say that they were a family of 16. So like I said, my source says there are a ton of Steeles that are in Orem. Here is what these particular Steeles told Good Morning America in the early hours following Charlie's assassination, like the next day. Take a listen.
We're joined now by Tiffany Barker and her nieces Elle Steele and Mia Grant, who were all in the audience yesterday afternoon. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know it's been a difficult day for all of you right now. And Tiffany, let me begin with you. Just tell us what you remember about the scene yesterday.
It was horrific. There was one shot that rang out, and everybody instantly looked around and then fell to the ground. People saw Charlie instantly get shot in the neck, and everybody fell to the ground, and then people started running and got run over. And I was with my family. We had 16 of us there, so 5 adults and like 11 children. And we instantly got separated. We're trying to find everybody, and we had amazing Good Samaritans that grabbed kids. One took my niece and took her to her apartment. Somebody grabbed these two and my daughter and took them over to the tennis courts and stayed with them until I came. It was a super awful tragedy, and there were really good people that stood up and supported each other, and it was actually really powerful to see that.
Elle and Mia, I can't imagine how scared you must have been yesterday. What can you tell us about what you all remember? Elle, you go first.
So I remember hearing this thing. It was hard to know what it was, but then I saw it, and I saw blood everywhere, and it hit his artery, and then I fell to the ground. I covered my head with my hands. And then I just started saying a prayer, and then we all ran. We sprinted away, and we ran away and then we met at the tennis courts, and then we couldn't find anyone. It was just me, Mia, and then my other cousin Bella, and then we were calling everyone. We didn't know what to do, and then we finally met up with them, and it was just so scary.
I'm sure. Mia?
I remember that we were like 15 feet away, and I thought like the shot was like a firecracker or something. It just didn't seem real. After that, we went like behind where Charlie Kirk was, and then we were meeting up at the tennis courts and trying to find everyone and get everyone together. And Charlie Kirk was such a good guy. I'm gonna miss him so much. I've always watched all of his videos, and
I can't imagine what you all went through.
America's gonna miss Charlie Kirk.
Can't imagine what you went through yesterday. Thanks for sharing your stories this morning.
Okay, so I was just interested in the family more broadly speaking. I can tell you the family's very heavily involved in politics. That woman that you are looking at, her father was a businessman turned councilman. Sister ran for lieutenant governor. They're also featured in another incident. She kind of pops in the news a lot with a mayor. So by all accounts, asking locally, they're a good family. They're heavily involved in politics, but like the right side of politics, as I would say, as somebody who was a conservative, I think that was kind of maybe stripped there, trying to learn more about these individuals. For me personally, I don't love the idea that at this time, the killer is still on the loose. Like they had nothing at this time. And I'm just going like, who would allow their kids back onto that campus that survived a shooting and to go speak to the news the next day when the killer was still on the loose? But I don't need to, I guess, judge the actions of parents. What I do know is we're not getting the full story, okay? And I reached out to those individuals, by the way. I asked them to speak with me. I want to learn more about what they witnessed. I want to learn more about what they say that they heard and what they saw, what happened afterward, what the setup there is on UVU campus, what time they went there. I want to know everything because I just